Hello, in today's video we are going to work on pause menu. So let me disable main menu, and in game menu we have the pause button. So we need to create new menu which will be responsible for pause. Let's select UI, let's create empty and let's call it pause UI. Inside of the pause UI I'm going to add image, just simply image, and let's make it bigger. Let's do it scale like 10 maybe, and 10. No, oh, we can edit it right here. So let's find this image and let it something like this. So it will cover the most of the area. And let's make it black and transparent. Something like this. Then we will need to add a few buttons. Uh, Two buttons. First would be, let's create button, image, under the image UI, and it will be the button, and we name this button as unpause or continue. Let's call it continue button, and we need to change the text here, or continue, and this button is too big. Probably we don't. I'm thinking how to do it the better. Let's reset the scale for 1 and 1, and let's just change width and height like this. I think it will looks better if we do it like this. I think this looks good. And now this button is not so huge, and we can increase scale of the button to maybe 4 and 4. I think this looks nice. And we can use our images for button, which we downloaded from Dark UI. Let's select this free. And I'm thinking about something like this. We can drag it right here, or maybe something more square-like. I think this looks nice. And we have continue. Now, let's move this button a few lines top, because we need to mm, run because we need to create two buttons here. So let's move it, I think, like this. And let's duplicate this button and rename it as main menu button. And what we need to do is just change text main menu, and let's move it, not the text but button itself. Let's move it to the bottom, and I think this looks nice. Now we can configure some sense switching, but also we need to create function for pause and unpause. Let's open the scripts. We have here UI, and we're going to add this functionality in UI main function. And first, which we are going to create is to pause. This need to be public void pause game. What we need to do, but before we can pause, we need some variable which will identify if game is paused right now or not. Let's create private boolean and let's call it is paused, or like this. So inside of the pause game, we need to check if game is on pause right now. So first, if is paused, what we are going to do is to change time scale. So there is the time scale. We're going to set this to the 1. So this is the normal time flow. And let's change is paused to the false. But if game is not paused right now, we need to change time scale to the 0. This means time in game would stop. Time scale set to 0. And we set is paused to true. Okay, this pause game is ready, and now let's configure this in Unity. I don't need this, and here is the game. So inside in the game UI, we have this pause button. So let's add here event on click, but we need two events because first we need to pause the game, and second we need to switch scene. Let's drag here canvas 2 times, canvas and canvas. So in the first case, we're going to execute function which is called pause game. And in second case, we're going to switch UI, and we will switch UI to the pause UI. So now let's try. Let's disable all of the UIs. We have the main menu. Let's start the game and click pause. So game is stopped, and I have continue button and main menu button, but right now those buttons are not functional. Let's configure them. So let's disable main menu, enable pause. So we have this continue. So what should happen when we click continue? We should unpause the game and switch scene to the in-game UI. So it's really simple. So let's drag canvas 2 times here. So first we're going to call the same pause game. And in second time, we're going to UI main, switch UI, and let's drag here in-game UI. So this pause game would check if game is paused, and if it is paused, it will continue normal time flow and set is paused to the false. Let's make sure it's work as expected. Okay. Oh, sorry. I need to disable pause UI, enable main UI, and let's start it. Game started, paused, ready, continue, and oh, we can jump. We need to fix that. We'll fix it later. Today we are working on UI. So let's stop the game. So pause is working right now. And next, what we need to do is to configure the main menu. So let's enable pause again. So what should happen when we click main menu? So first, UI need to be switched to the main menu. So switch UI, and I'm going to drag. But also, game need to be restarted. So we need to reload the scene. So how can we do it? Let's open our editor, and we are going to create function which would be called restart level. Or I think it's better to create it in stats, our like singleton manager. It's called stats manager. I think it's not a very good name because we already changed the functionality, so we would need to rename it. But let's keep it as it is right now. So I have the restart game function, which is public. So what we need to do? We need to get the scene which need to be restarted. Right now we have only one scene, but in future we may have additional scene like different levels. So we need to retrieve current scene. So I'm going to do current scene, which is equal to the scene manager, scene manager, and here we are going to get active scene. It will return as current scene, and we can get here name, or we can get here build index. Both options are fine because what we're going to do next is to call scene manager, load scene, and current scene name. So I can use like we are getting from the active scene, we are getting the name. And now let's add a call of this function from the UI. Oh, I added this into UI, but I was supposed to add it in Stats Manager. So let's open the Stats Manager. So we have this function, restart game. Let's import scene manager because it was not imported in this scene, so it need to be here in the using statement. So now in UI game, I also going to create function restart game, but it will be simply executing of restart game from our stats manager. Now let's go here and select here, added this to the canvas, UI main, and we should have here restart game function. Now let's try to test it, but we have one more problem. Again, wrong menu, disable this, enable that. So game started. I click pause, which verified continue is working. Now I can click main menu. So once I clicked main menu, something happened. Nothing is working. Player is not moving. And when I click game started, but again, nothing is happening. And this is because uh, when we click pause, we set time scale equal to the 0. So everything is on hold. So we have two options how to deal with that. So first would be is using the start function in UI main. And second is to use unpause. So if you would like to use this on the scripting, so we can do here. Let's create function start, which is executed when we start in the game. So it will be executed when we are starting the level. And every time when level is started, we can set time scale equal to the 1. And now, if I go to the game, let's click play. Let's run it, let's pause it. Now I click main menu. Everything is working fine. Another possibility, what we can do here inside of the main menu, we can add one more call and just call here pause the game. So now I can, for example, get rid of this. And I can try to start the game. So on pause, now when I click main menu, game is unpaused again. So both options are working fine. Like choose which option you prefer. And that's all for today. Have a nice day.